Hey everybody, SpeeDee here at the new Studio Eats. I'd like to continue Tales from the Drafting Table series. This is the second part of our subject on Aristotle and Plato, getting it ready for a painting. So, episode 22. Here we go. Okay, for this one, I'm working with some reference material. It's not very good reference material, but it's enough. And I'm going to do multiple sketches of the character because I have to get the gnosis of what he really looks like. And I call him a character. It's Plato, for crying out loud. He's not a character, he's a pillar of Western civilization itself. A big reason why I was inspired to even do this painting. Um, so I'll do multiple sketches of him because I have to eventually work his face into profile, and I need the gnosis of what he looks like, what he really looks like. So I have to do multiple sketches. I'm starting with a direct, forward-facing drawing of him, and I'm working in a lot of browns and kind of sepia type tones because that's ultimately where it's going when it becomes a watercolor painting. But many just know his name, maybe know a few little things about him, but really don't know him. So I'm going to give a little bit of a background on Plato. He was born in Athens in 428 or 427 BCE. I mean, it was a long time ago, so it's like understandable that it would be hard to get it accurate. Um, It is said that he was born in Athens or possibly born in Aegina, but only because his family may have temporarily relocated there during the Peloponnesian War. He was fully an Athenian, though, born to an old Athenian lineage who were aristocratic and politically connected. But historically, he's viewed as an Athenian. His actual birth location was kind of immaterial, owing to the circumstances. He may have been born in Aegina, but I mean, he comes from like an old Athenian noble family, an aristocratic family, and that's not to be interpreted in modern understanding of aristocrat at all. I think the closest equivalent you could say that his family was to maybe a modern understanding would be that his family was a foundational family. They were a founding family among the founding families of Athens itself, which is a pretty big deal. Athens is an amazing city. Um, His teacher, though, Socrates, or Socrates, which would be the proper way to say it, um, obviously had a major impact on him and a massive impact on Western civilization as well. Without him having the teachers, Socrates, we just wouldn't have had him because he had lots of options as an aristocrat and he had lots of responsibilities too. I know he was a soldier. It was a requirement of all members of the Athenian city state to do some time as a soldier. Um, but yeah, he was mentored and educated by Socrates, and during a very traumatic era, they were post Peloponnesian War. Um, they were feeling pretty down on themselves for failing. You know, uh, they didn't win the Peloponnesian War, and something about Athenian citizens, Attican citizens at that time, they were very driven perfectionists, but and so that's why I think they probably took the loss as hard as they did because they were very educated, very well connected, and they felt that they were more sophisticated than their neighbors. And because of their sophistication and their skill and how much work they put into their skill, I think they felt like they should have won. And many people politically at that time were kind of glossing over the loss. And you had Socrates who was like, no, no, we have to diagnose where we failed so that we don't fail in the future. He was highly critical of the Athenian state, specifically at that time. Um, Now, for Plato, this is his teacher, this is his mentor. He obviously looks up to him and he spends all his time around him and learning from him. And Plato is one of the ones that was there when Socrates was executed essentially for being honest. For me, I'm find like a deeper resonance with Socrates. Um, he was authentic. He got punished for being real, and I can't think of anything more tragic than that. Being punished for being honest and for being noble at a time when everybody was feeling bad about themselves. They didn't want to grow. They didn't want to learn from their mistakes. They wanted to make it go away. They wanted to pretend like it wasn't that big of a deal. And there was Socrates going, hold on, no, no, no. You have to properly diagnose a failure to make sure that you do not repeat that mistake. And they weren't having it. They weren't hearing it. They considered him politically dangerous because he was honest. Makes you wonder if they don't execute this man and they actually heed his words and heed his wisdom, is the political future of the West different? No. You see, those who like the easy lie, they won. And I feel like in a small way, Western politics was forever changed. It was no longer noble. It was no longer able to be noble, and I do believe it had a big impact on Plato. And but anyway, to get back to more about Plato himself, you know, he he founded the academy. It was a famous place, and it's really probably the first school in Western history, and is the foundation of Western education. Um, this was Plato was a persona who loved ideals, forms, and metaphysics. He was a dreamer and an everly, forever curious persona, and spent his entire life looking for gnosis, looking for the riddle inside the metaphysics, looking for truth, just like Socrates had influenced him to do. And I mean, I can't help but do a tribute to him. He's a huge part of my life. I love him for how he handled and navigated his life, and for the things he loved. I love those things too. So, but I also love Socrates, and I also love Aristotle, and I really truly do feel like Plato and Aristotle are the pillars, the patrones of the entire pathos of Western civilization and of our culture. And I'm a Western artist, you know. Um, to do my work the best I can possibly do it, I feel like it's very important for me to be connected to our roots. And I feel like these are two stems of our roots. Now, of course, there's others that I love as well, like Xenophon and Anabasis is one of my favorite, books. And, and Socrates, Socrates, if you will. Um, but yeah, I just kind of do a tan sepia sketch here, and I'll do multiple sketches of his face, and probably in the next episode tell some stories about him or things that are attributed to him, but we can't be for sure because I mean he didn't write about it himself. Um, but he is one of our most pivotal founding thinkers and deserves the utmost respect and the utmost study. He should be well known by every Western citizen, period. It shouldn't be where people don't know who this man is, don't know his works, don't know his contributions. But it, in fact, is that way. There are a lot of people who just know him as his name and know him more for a movie reference than anything else. Kind of sad, that is. But, I'm going to do my proper tribute to him in this series. We'll continue with stories about him in the next episode. All right, let's concludes episode 22 of Tales from the Drafting Table, the second part to the subject Aristotle and Plato. Well, it's hot. It's really hot down here in the middle of the heat wave, and definitely impacted the paper, but in this case, again, I'll be transferring from the draft to my medium, my vital medium. Looks like it's going to be watercolor in this early stage. It looks like I'm going to do watercolor. Anyway, thanks for coming by and checking it out. I appreciate everybody that did, and like, subscribe, share, support it. Hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I hope you all manifest all the good things you want in your life. All right, SpeeDee out. See you next episode.